All right, we back. I thought we weren't going to have a trade show today. Matty was scared. Matty said, I'm out. I'm good. We want you to come check out. We want you to come check out. So it was kind of started the wrong way. We wanted you to come check out the recap in 2 weeks. Scary as shit is going to be a blast. We have holograms and recap discussion immediately after the 4 o'clock game. So we talk about the 1 o'clock and the 4 o'clocks. So make sure you're checking that out. This week, I'm going to be doing it with the one, the only Fizzle Dollars. Next week, I'll be doing it with, we'll see if Mike shows too. Because speaking of scared, Matty is here though. I talked him back into it. We're back. What's going on with you, my friend? How are you, babe?
Listen, I gotta say, first foremost, thank you for having me on the Dynasty Trade Show. I mean, the Dynasty Trade Show. This is an honor. But how are you gonna play that intro? You literally scared me out of my boot. I had to run. I ran away. You had to hit me up on the phone and said, "No, get back here. That's not." What do you? I should have.
Yeah, I should have showed it to you before we went live. You know, I could see that.
Yeah, I mean, you lit Mike on fire. I had to watch Mike get lit on fire. I thought that
I'm honestly, I'm kind of curious to see. Hopefully, we can find out like how he made it alive out of that. Because I remember vividly when that happened. I thought he was dead, but
that was scary. And
yeah, it was.
Was it Derrick Henry asking me for my soul?
Well, he said he says your soul is his. I think he probably has been. It seems like he's been stealing souls all year, buddy. The injuries are bad. Not just the injuries are bad though. Now we're starting to see like with more solidified information. We'll get into the scary season of CeeDee Lamb. Speaking of which, where I'm not out per se. However, I think you had a good prelude for the trade show's theme today, which is what do you do in Dynasty? I mean, you should be panicked, or at least if you're not panicked, I'm not going to panic sell per se, but you should be scared. Are we panicked, and what should be the price? We're going to find out what the current price is in 2 trades this show, Matty. But what do you think of CD and Dynasty, and is there how much of a difference versus redraft?
So, for me in redraft, you don't sell in redraft because the output that he can give in a given week, it's bar none. There's no one else in terms of fantasy at the position from now on out. I will say this to ease the mind of some of the people that might be worried. Last year, 2023, coming out of the bye, CeeDee Lamb was good, not great. Very similar to how he is now. 41 points, 28 points, 39.5 points, Adam, coming out of the bye.
Well,
Lit the world on fire, did not look back.
Speaking of which, it's funny you mentioned that because I remember vividly as well, before we had, the licensed game plan, the specific, Mike and I were doing a little bit of game plan discussions ourselves back in the day on Fridays. And I'll never forget, it was the game before we went off. Mike and I were talking on 4D chess that week during the game, like our planning. You should get out of CeeDee Lamb. You got to get out. And he, to your point, he not only did he never look back, that was the greatest stretch of any player we've seen in fantasy football, period. So I think they're going to get some stuff right. I think CeeDee Lamb is – I'm not overly worried for the season. I don't know that we'll see him replicate the greatness of last year. But I'll just say this, I sure as hell hope that we don't continue seeing what looks like, I'll just say this, it looks like the contract holdout is fucking with them currently at the moment, right?
Could be. Could definitely be that. This too about CeeDee Lamb, this is why you go to South Harmon FF and get the Warp Tool. This is exactly why you'd also look at the Warp, realize that CeeDee Lamb's still in the top 20, folks.
Yep.
Still in the top 20, regardless of the slow start. He's still valuable.
Absolutely. I mean, and that's the thing. He is still valuable in redraft. But let's see. Rob, we got you. You should have probably already sold him. At this point now, I think if you haven't, how much of a rebuild are you? If you're desperate, you got to just move him before it's over. If you want to wait until he comes back, I'm hoping at least he'll come back at some point this year. But this is more of a question for AMA because today, what do? We're talking Dynasty trades. Mike's not here, but we always start off with one of our own. So, Matty, you're going to be the judge with me. We're the judge, the jury, the executioner. Mike can't tell us shit. And he gets CeeDee Lamb. He at least helped us there, Mike on vacation, well-deserved. But let's see if the trade was well-deserved to give him a vacation. So, we got NFC East. I think this is actually a lineup league. I should have – normally, Mike's just on here to answer the settings. So, I believe it's a 12-team Superflex lineup league, but we can always go to the great part is that's what we have all the tools for at South Harmon, as Matty likes to tell us. The lab will be able to tell us exactly what that's got going on. Anyways, Stephon Diggs and CeeDee Lamb, a pair of dynamic duo receivers. He's trading away the Nico Collins' current IR stint. We'll see if he ends up coming back right away at 4 games is over, or if it's going to be longer. Chase Brown and a 25 first from Little Man 19. So, Matty, what side do you like here? Talk me through, you play obviously in several Dynasty leagues as well. Like, what's your thought process when you look at the trade like this?
It feels like you always want to take a shot at the best player in the deal. And as good as Nico Collins is, and I'll admit I was a big Nico Collins hater. And I was a hater because he was good and he proved me wrong. Having said that, CeeDee Lamb is still CeeDee Lamb. He's still a top 3 receiver in Dynasty. And Diggs, in the absence of Collins, is going to eat. He's going to destroy, and he was good when Collins was on the field as well. So I like this for Mike's side. I think he got the best player in the deal. And for the other side, obviously they're playing for the future. Chase Brown is a bad bet for the future. He's a good bet for this year. Seems like he's going to overtake Zach Moss, but we're not going to sit here and pretend that Chase Brown is good enough to transcend through 3 years on one team. I don't believe he's that good. So I think that could be a lost asset when the other team's looking to compete. Because obviously he's kind of punting by trading away Diggs and Lamb in the same deal. But for Mike's side of it, I think he gets the best player in the deal. And the difference between Diggs and Nico Collins, it's not huge here. So just to get that first, where's that first landing though? That I guess that would make a difference. I still like it from Mike's side, even if it's a non-playoff first. Are you muted? Did you mute yourself on your show? Did you kill?
I did, because I was trying to keep.
Are you trying to scare me away again? Are you testing me?
That was a test. That was a good test. It was a good answer and a good response because I was getting ready to dunk all over Mike. Not actually, nah. The thing is though, he and I were in the same amount of leagues. I was getting ready to tell you. I've been doing a lot of scrolling trying to find it. I finally got it. This guy is in 3 pages of different leagues on the lab, so it's a nice scroll. We found it though. To give you context to your question, which is where is the first? Little Man's team is currently 2-4, and we're talking about a guy that I will say it looks as though, and normally is the case, when someone else owns your first, you have no reason to be tanking typically. Now, unless you realize your team is so bad and you decide, all right, I'm going to just punt. Thing is, part of the reason he's 2-4 is Davante Adams has been out of his lineup. Davante Adams is back with not just back to the Raiders, he's back to the Jets with Aaron Rodgers, buddy. You got Tyreek Hill on this team who we expect to be better with Tua. He has Travis Kelce on this team who has been wildly underperforming but now has the Rashee Rice. So you talk about a team that was dealing with attrition out of the ass. That would be Little Man's team. Also, I mean, depending on what's going to happen Sunday, Russell Wilson is now playing football. So there's a lot of things about this team that actually, while 2-4, probably project him to end up having a good chance to get into the playoffs, which right now the 6 seed's 1 game ahead of him at 3-3. All that said, and he's got Purdy, he's got James Cook, he's got Connor, he's got a lineup.
Now why he doesn't have his first is because he thought he was a contender.
And you know what's crazy?
And he probably is.
And what I was going to say, and what's kind of crazy is he had a horrible string of bad luck. I don't think I know he's not the best team in the league. However, that team, when healthy, could put up a fight with the best team in the league.
Oh, yeah.
So, I guess here's what I will say. For Love Them Hogs, this is a team that it's the crazy part is that the Love Them Hogs is the flip side of this story. So, Love Them Hogs is a team that's 4-2 and has no business being 4-2 and is trying to get themselves out of the playoff mix. So, when you think about all 3 of these, Mike's team is absolutely ready to go, though. And I think he still would be the biggest winner for me. He now has Jalen Hurts, Breece Hall, Bijan Robinson, CeeDee Lamb, Chris Godwin, Trey McBride, Jonathan Taylor, Derrick Henry, speaking of taking people's souls, Patrick Mahomes, Dak Prescott, Goon Squad, right? And he's 4-2. The team Broge, 6-0. Mike's loading up to go get a title, and if that first is not early, to your point, final thing for me, I'm willing to go to the CeeDee Lamb side while Nico's injured. I will tell you this: if it's Nico not on IR, I'm not probably paying whatever the cost is to go to CeeDee. I believe in Nico's current role in him at this point. So, but if I get to pivot out of that, and I also get Diggs, that's the big part for me. Diggs is a massive, massive smash in whether Nico's playing or not. So like it wasn't as much for me about getting Diggs because Nico's not out there. Diggs is just a player I want on my team on a contender. So if that pick, like little man's not going to allow it to be a top 3 pick, I definitely want the CD side right now, given the fact that you got Nico hurt right now.
I agree. I definitely agree. This trade, we might look back on it next Halloween, and this could be he has Nico Collins and nothing else really to show for it.
Yeah, the one thing, and you touched on this, I'll say the last thing, I totally agree about the Chase Brown assessment. That part's weird because typically you would see that type of a player going to the team that's trying to go win. If you love them Hogs, one of the flaws that I have made before, I've seen people continue to make, don't allow yourself to believe that Chase Brown is a piece that needs to stay on your team and is like part of your core. That should be a flip asset in my opinion. So that's the way to make sure, to Matty's point, you don't get look up next Halloween he's not even necessarily a starter somewhere. Okay. Let's pivot to another CD tram. This is Fantasy Fuckers Dynasty. I don't mind that. 12-team Superflex, PPR. Best ball starting 10, Mike. Not here. Matty. So,
dude, it's one. I'll give you one.
Adam. Now that you know what's so funny? You know what's funny?
And then I'm gonna start calling you Cody.
No, but you can do that. But you know what's funny is I made fun of Mike for that. I just literally that was so. It's like I just did this about 2 weeks ago. I was supposed to go meet somebody, and there's a path I take up to work, which I haven't gone to work in a while, but it's still so natural to just get off at this exit that I'm not going to at all. I just get off. I'm like, what am I doing? I guess I just say Mike's name, pause, all the time. We have CeeDee Lamb, Brian Robinson being acquired on one side for Puka Nacua, 2 firsts, and Tyler Johnson. One piece of this trade does not belong. Bang right got banged right with Tyler Johnson being acquired. But I will say that's a haul now. Puka 2 firsts. I like Brian Robinson quite a bit. Salt, that it's our guy, man. You know how much I fuck with you. You're my dog, but I'm not saying I wouldn't necessarily. I'm not 100% sold what shot I want yet, but I'm looking, and that is a big hefty price to pay. Honestly, I'm gonna have to go to the lab again while I get your assessment because Jerry Beansman's first, I think, is gonna play a big piece of if I'm willing to take this trade or not.
Completely agree, but as you're kind of looking that up in the lab on SouthHarbornFF.com, this is what I was like. This trade on its surface, to me, I call it the 7-Eleven trade. When you walk into 7-Eleven, you see the price tag, you pay it. This feels just fair on its face because I think Puka in a first, a 26 first, a 25 first for CD is probably within like a standard deviation of a plus minus 10 who wins the side based on how it turns out. And I think a winning team is absolutely should be looking to pay a first for Brian Robinson. I like Brian Robinson that good. Even coming off injury this week, I have him at running back 9 in my weekly ranking. So this is a perennial top 10 type of running back. I think this is a big get for Salt. Now that 25 first will make it either be a straight kind of C plus for Salt in my eyes, or a straight B minus, anywhere from B plus to A minus for Salt if it's a late first. Because it looks like Salt's looking to compete. I mean, he's acquiring Lamb, acquiring Robinson, so that 26 first
for sure
is looking like a playoff first. So I don't give it a ton of value. And then we don't, like you said, one of these assets is not like the other. Tyler Johnson, like if you're trying to get the handcuff from Nacua, it ain't TJ, my guy.
Yeah, that part I'm not. If I was Salt, if this was any part of the holdup of the deal, and you can fucking have it. It doesn't. It doesn't. It acquires.
But you gotta give me TJ.
I love every now and again I get an ask like that. I will tell you it's a funny story actually. I had a big huge trade with a lot of moving pieces. I still believe I won, and the piece that I had to give up in the offseason about 2 months ago was Jordan Mason, and I'm like, you fucking have him, and that turned out to be a piece that was not a Tyler Johnson. But this one I can tell you is not Jordan Mason. He is a probably roster clogger receiver, I would call it in a lineup league. It is best ball, so I get it. But here's what I will say. Salt's team is 6-0. So, one, I guess there's a double-sided coin here. Of course, I want to load up and get CeeDee Lamb. But at the same time, if you're 6-0 right now, you might be able to kind of thread the needle and wait till Puka's back is one of the things I'm thinking. 2, not saying that you have to. I'm just saying that's one way to look at it for me. The third part now I want to go get is this. Jerry Beansman. Where is this team? 5-1. 5-1. Oof. And looks to be pretty well built. So honestly, I'll tell you this. Sometimes these trades, and I'm looking at it, right? So it's CJ Stroud, Saquon Barkley, Amon-Ra, Adams, Marv, Njoku, Pollard, Keenan Allen, Baker, Drake May on the bench, Chuba. His team's well built, right? It's not the best in the world, but it's a good team in best ball. Brandon McLeod, man, he really did a good job. So if you're telling me that this is a late first in this 25 class, and if your team is 6-0 like Salt's team is, and you need this is a Titanic. To go down, it's got to be the worst thing that's happened in the world, buddy. Like, you're telling me, so I can really safely pencil these into late picks? I would be willing to go do this. So this is where I think why I love using the lab and why I like talking about context is if you're telling me this is a mid to potentially have a chance to be early 25, and this is your mid to late pick that you think in 26, but your team's not built very well, and that could become an early in 26, I normally don't want to make those type of trades and bets because there's a lot more to lose than to gain. This type of a trade, when I have this type of context, we're already at this point in the year, he's 5-1. That team's not missing the playoffs. So I already know I'm not giving him an early first now, and I'm willing to bet on my own team very much so with his. I'll go ahead and take CD here for sure. I got a little sticker shock there, Salt. So shout out to JCap, shout out to South Harmon. That's why we got the tools, buddy. That's why we got the tools. You know. Baby. You want the CD side too?
I do, and Brian Robinson just kind of is the cherry on top here because he's a difference maker at a running back right now. If we look at a player like that, his WARP, he's still top 40 player overall in Superflex right now. That's a difference maker. That's a guy that's going to help you win in best ball where you don't have to worry about making the lineup changes.
No question.
And when I would say this, if the only criticism that we had for Salt was he probably could have made it a 26 second if he waited till Puka comes back healthy, I think it's a good trade. I think that's kind of thread needles a little bit.
Yeah, I'm with you. In best ball, and I guess the other thing too, if you are watching this and you're like, man, why are you even thinking about taking the CD side of this? Because in best ball, the depth over quantity can be a plus. So when I see what I'm giving all away there, my mind just thinks of what can I buy with all those firsts that I'm sending. I'm good with the price of admission here. So I'll tell you this. I don't know if this is reflective of your leagues, but the whole reason we have this up there, 2 trades that have gone down that we've reviewed on our Discord. Speaking of which, if you want to be a part of and put your deals on the show at some other point, patreon.com/South Harmon. $5 gets you in the door. You can put your deals and let us know what you think of CeeDee Lamb trades that you make or whatever trades you want to make. But let us know at this point that I've seen in the market, I'm willing to go get CD for that because one thing about CD too, he was in territory not long ago, which is unacquirable. And sometimes the buy window for those players, short-lived. Now, let's get into another trade that is not CeeDee Lamb. All right, I'm trying to think about this one here. I like Evan Ingram a lot, but at 10 targets in 1 week, is he really someone I care about? Probably not. T. Higgins, Brian Robinson, I also see 2 first in this trade. And a second. MLF Truther, that's a tough look, dude. MLF Truther's a tough look because I can't fuck with MLF, buddy. Do you fuck with MLF?
Brother, I'm going to say this to you and for everyone listening. I had to remove myself from a number of leagues because MLF sucks that bad.
Dude.
I said, I had someone ask me, hey, do you want to play in a league? And I was like, what platform is it on? They could have said, Yahoo? Sure. Sleeper? Of course. ESPN? Fine. CBS? I ain't paying, but if you're going to pay, I'll do it.
Well,
MLF? No, thank you. No, thank you. I got booed at the zoo tomorrow. I can't draft.
Well, it's funny. Part of the reason I was reminded by Matty, I wanted to show him that recap video that got our stream killed, was we're going to Boot the Zoo today. And I'm with you, too, on MLF. I was on MLF. I have the app I recently deleted from my phone because I was in 3-4 leagues apiece in every year the last 2 to 3. Bro, last year I told myself, like, you have those conversations with yourself on those bad days, like, listen, this is it. This is a part of my life I have to remove. I need to get out of the MLF business, and I did. Scott Fishbowl is also on Sleeper now, so there's absolutely no reason to hold on to MLF if you're me, right? This trade,
I wouldn't
though,
even do if it was on MLF. Real talk.
Wow. Well, good news is Scott Fish heard you loud and clear.
He's the man. I've only played on Sleeper. He's the man.
I gotta go look at the trades again here. The picks again here, dude. Matty, this is if those first aren't like again really late for sure, this is not CeeDee Lamb in this trade. What are your thoughts on it overall though?
this is one of those type of trades where you're willing to absolutely get destroyed later for the short-term success, because it's easy to parse this as 1 and a 2, Higgins, Ingram, and Robinson. Okay, you could tell me a story where Robinson's worth a first. He
Sure.
could be a difference maker running back. And as a redraft guy, a seasonal guy, I can't ever shake that even in my dynasty leagues. I get it.
Sure.
Higgins is not worth a first, and Ingram's not worth a second. This is a tough look. I understand why MLF Truther did it. I get it, but this is a lot of ammo to probably not get better than the people you're trying to get better than.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, okay, that's the reason I say it's funny with you wording it that way. See, in best ball and lineup, I look at it a lot differently, and I still may struggle with the price of this in best ball, but the thing is, I like what I've seen from T. Higgins. I've been a T. Higgins defender, and it's not that I don't think he's a good football player, but I don't even still, while he's playing this well, think that he's moving the needle for me in a lineup start 11 necessarily. Lineup start 11 is a little deeper, so I'm not telling you I'm uninterested in a T. Higgins or uninterested in a Brian Robinson. Yeah. I just don't know that I want to give up liquidity per se to do so. I'm trying to find the college dropout here. MLF Truther, for being a MLF guy, you got a lot of sleeper leagues, so I'll at least give you that. You're not completely dead to me. As I pull up his team, 4-2, currently at the top of a six-way tie for first place. Currently at 4-2. We have a league that knows to go to the top or go to the bottom. It's honestly, that's kind of fun. I'm looking at MLF's team. Jordan Love, James Cook, Brian Robinson now acquired, Jamar Chase, Nico, Marv, Brock Bowers. He got T. Higgins now as a flex, Terry McLaurin, Brian Thomas, Kyler Murray, Fields on the bench, who may also be on the bench. I really hope not, but he might be. Joe Flacco back to the bench. Kareem Hunt, he's got a good team. He's got a very good team in a lineup start 11. Evan Ingram is the tight end. One thing I was going to say in general, all right. Even if you think Evan Ingram is worth a second, if I have Brock Bowers, I'm not acquiring Evan Ingram, dude. I want to be out of the tight end business in general, let alone to go acquire another where, like, I'll tell you this much, there's probably not a scenario I'm starting Evan Ingram over Brock Bowers right now, although I think he is a good tight end play, and I don't ever want to be flexing in a half-point tight end premium Evan Ingram. So that part of this deal, to me, I was already probably going to shit on that part, but I definitely don't like doing it when you have a tight end. This first of Quinn Fangs is the only other question for me, which, is that? I don't know. There it is. 8th overall, currently 3-3. This is a first I want to keep. I mean, he has some good players, but this is a team that's like good enough if everything continues to stay in the mix. Bad things happen to his team, which some of them already have. That this guy misses the playoffs, as he's already out of the playoff picture. I'm definitely not trying to give up a first that has a chance to be in this year's class one of the top 6 players. Listen, if you don't watch college football, let me tell you, there's a guy like Gentry's in this class. There's some awesome receivers in this class. Not to mention just the value of having a pick that's a top 6 pick. As soon as the season's over, oh my gosh, people will be fiending for that pick from you. I get it. Listen, MLF Truther, I get what you're doing, and this has been one of my, I guess, biggest sticking points and things I'm trying to preach, though. I'm not telling you that this is a bad trade. I'm not telling you that if everything goes right for you, you may not win the league, and this could end up being T. Higgins has some great weeks in the playoffs, whatever. I think you could leverage the picks for more is the point.
Yeah, like we both said, we understand the process. We understand the logic behind it. It feels to me as if you could have parsed these individual assets individually to get one at a time at certain points that'd be more surgical, and you could really maximize value. If, this first year that's in 8th place, if they go on a 2-game losing streak, you're probably able to leverage that pick alone to jump you into the Mike Evans business, the maybe Drake London, the top 10 type of receiver business with that first.
Right. You could
shoot
you
here.
could probably,
you don't feel like you get one of those players.
No, I'm sorry. You're 100% spot on. Like, I don't know where some of the players are. Like, I'm thinking, as you said, Evans. I'm thinking at first might even get you a little bit of a middle ground of maybe you have to add something slightly to it. But can you get Chris Godwin? Like,
Yeah, yeah, oh, yeah.
It really just depends on obviously the teams in your league that are bowing out or willing to take the picks and what receivers or players they have available to you. But that's my criticism, if there is one. Like, I'm not going to personally at this point do that. And I think one of the things that happens, last point I'll make, right now it's like, man, I'm ready to go. While I am in first, everyone else is 4-2. I'm trying to separate from the pack, and I don't like these picks that they can't go into your lineup. But guess what? Those teams that are 3-3, 2-4, they'll become 2-5, 2-6. They'll become 3-7. And the further the disparity gets over time, when we're past Halloween, you can now have a trick or treat. You just got a treat. You don't have to wait. You get a treat because someone is going to end up wanting that pick really good from you for probably more. And if you have an early first, what people are trying to buy as an early first when they're out of contention, a lot of times you can kind of hand pick from their roster what you want. Okay, let's have a discussion. The Who's. I tell you, this one's so interesting just because of the timing of what's going on. We'll see what ends up happening in Pittsburgh. But Justin Fields, certainly a polarizing player, and for NFL passing production has not given us much. For fantasy rosters, he has been great. But there's a scenario he's going to the bench, so I get why the appeal is there. But it's Fields, a second, so a second and 25, as well as a 26 second, both coming from Blitz, our guy over at South Harmon. He's adding a fourth as well to get a share of Brock Bowers. Now, Blitz, I'll tell you, craftily, you know how to put these things in. He does. He pulls the trades, and he this template I've given to him in Canva to handle putting in the settings. He conveniently doesn't tell us what the tight end premium is. So, Matty, what do you think of this trade in a 10-team league, and where are you at with Brock Bowers in Dynasty?
Brock Bowers is my Dynasty tight end 1, and that's been tough for me because I've been holding on to the Travis Kelce love because at this position, I don't like a flavor of the week because it gets sour so quickly at this damn position. And if you checked out the latest episode of the walkthrough with me and Cody, I went on a bit of a rant with the whole Brock Bowers thing because sometimes we make things too difficult in fantasy where 2-3 years ago, the plan was Travis Kelce hands the baton to Brock Bowers. It was written in the stars years ago, and now that it's happening, people are like, is he a Dynasty 1? Yes, he is. He was supposed to be. We saw it written in the fantasy stars years ago, and now it's slapping us in the face. We're like, I don't think so. It's like, come on. Of course he is.
Come on, man.
Now, I will say this.
Yes, go ahead.
I'll say this about tight ends. They kind of suck. If you use the warp tool, you'll know that this year they kind of suck. Two of them, only two, have made the top 30 in warp. One, George Kittle, he's the number 1, but he's missed games. And then number 2 is Brock Bowers, but he's 30th overall in warp. So he's not as valuable as I think people realize or people want him to be. He's in the same tier in your general Superflex start 11, 12 as the Tony Pollards, the Terry McLaurins. But he's still very valuable. He's still the Dynasty tight end 1. And for me, seeing this trade personally, you got a top-of-the-shelf liquor, and you didn't give up a lot of money.
Yeah,
you gave up some shiny coins, but nothing that real value.
Yeah, I think, man, you made a lot of good points. It's what I'm doing because Blitz has kind of, conveniently and I'm sure unplannedly gave us a little less he kind of handicapped our ability to see certain things. I'm at least going to, in this bigger, longer, and uncut league, pull up warp. I can tell you what, for me, is more important than the scoring settings anyway, is going to be warp.life. Go check out warp.life. Go check out the warp tool and change your life because it will do that for your teams. I promise you. That said, there's 2 things about this in general. One, I want to know how important the tight end position is in the league. I basically am to the point where I'm at like 99% of the time. I do not give a shit about the tight end position. I'm not quite as good as, Purell or something where I'm 99.9, but I'm close, buddy. I'm basically done with tight ends. I'm looking at this league too. It's multi-year graph, which, by the way, is a lot better than single year, is below the rookie line. For those that don't know what that means, it's terrible. It is the lowest line, and I don't give a shit about the tight end position. The problem is I have a lot of Fields love, and I think if this is a 12-team league, I'll take the Field side. I really do still now. 10-team league, I'm not doing that. A 10-team league at the quarterback position, I believe in Fields. I think there's a chance to be made where I think there's a chance that Russ is not actually starting this week. Even if he does, I think there's a chance that Russ does not necessarily keep the job. Just because Russ goes out there and does the same type of thing that Fields does, they have not made what they haven't done is made a decision on their future quarterback play. So, I think Fields still could end up being that. I think he's been great for me in a 12-team league or a 14-team league where I want to have that quarterback scarcity with this type of quarterback. I'm in. 10-team league, I have a little bit harder of a time. I'll be honest with you, though. It's even in a 10-team league, dude, it's just my tight end lack of love. And nothing against Brock Bowers. To your point, he's 100% the tight end one. I'm not going to argue that. I'm going to save everyone's time. He's the tight end one, period. If the guy's producing and he's a current rookie and the whole field's not producing, that shouldn't even be a question. But to your point, that sometimes it is. I'll take Brock Bowers here reluctantly and blitz. Part of me is more reluctant because I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to act like we don't know this is a non-tight end premium league. Just put it in there. Just say non-tight end premium.
No TEP.
Matty, do you have anything different? I know you kind of said the same thing. I didn't know if you had anything else.
No, I do wholeheartedly agree with you when you're talking about a 12-teamer. Now you're looking at 24 quarterbacks that you'd like to start in a given week. Narrowing the field down to 20. Of course, Fields on the field passes that threshold, but with this, if he won't, this is enough. And then the second and thirds, I get it because of you want to kind of take more shots at the what do you call it, the fountain, whatever you want to call it. You want more shots at it.
Yeah,
I get it. I just don't think that they're going to be good enough. They're not going to change things. And even tight ends, as if you're in a league that doesn't have the warp, if the people don't use the warp tool, you'll always be able to bend people over for tight ends. I mean, look at the Kyle Pitts market up until literally probably this moment in time. If you don't have the warp tool, you still will trade for Kyle Pitts.
No, that's the thing. The right tight ends, to your point, the chosen one, that they are always going to be chased. What is actually pretty interesting, though, I'll just give you some context. One of the things I think that's missed about Brock Bowers and warp, I think part of the reason he's actually looking as good as he is because the field also is struggling immensely. I mean, Noah Fant has had 2 weeks of 6 catches and 60-plus yards, 60 and 63 exactly. The other weeks has basically not even been sniffing the top 20. He's a replaceable level option that if you just started weekly is keeping you serve. That's how bad the position has been, Matty.
So it's been so bad.
But that actually helps a guy like Brock Bowers. That means he's further from the replacement players. So the warp probably is coming down. But I will say the warp for him right now in this league is actually tied with quarterback 7. So even in warp, this is a pivot that I don't think you're able to make most times. Justin Fields is polarizing. I love him, but I don't think most people in a 10 team are going to love him. I'm surprised you're able to do that, frankly.
Yeah.
All right, let's go take a look at T-Rock. Oh, T-Rock, buddy. I mean, we're going to see how much Matty remembers your food, all right? Let's take a look at this. Let's take a look at this trade. All right, Derek Carr, Jaden Reed, and a 25 first. Matty, are you with Boogie Manatee, or are you staying with your guy T-Rock here? You getting out of Burrow shares for Jaden Reed, a first, and Carr. This is a lineup.
I need to know what this
10.
first is. I need to know what this first is.
This is the Terror Dome, which means, listen, I've been in the Terror Domes, meaning the league that he's probably running.
Yeah.
I will tell you, it's not. I don't play in it anymore. T-Rock, it's nothing personal. I'm not in that league, but he's running this thing. Let's see what I'll tell you what. I can give you the tools to go find out what it is. Boogeyman T. So he's getting his pick back though. This is weird as hell. This is like he's sending. No, I'm sorry. I'm wrong.
No, yeah, he's
sending his first in. Okay, T-Rock's betting against him. Sorry, that's a brain fart. Misread.
That's a straight. But even no matter what, acquiring Burrow kind of ensures, at least us, without knowing for sure, that he's looking to win.
You would think. I mean, Jaden Reed, I feel like I think sometimes when a player is as polarizing as Reed is, and they're starting to separate from the field in production and dynasty value, sometimes people feel like they're selling high. So, but the reason I say all that is I feel like Jaden Reed's helping teams win. So I'm sure I'm so curious. All right, I got Warp up, and I'm trying to pull up the lab. Let me ask you just strictly though, let's say this was a mid or a late pick first, and then we'll see what the team looks like.
Yeah. I would love this so much more, T-Rock, if you just had a quarterback with some upside, a little upside, any upside. Derek Carr is as white bread gets. It is tasteless. It ain't great. There's not much you can do to it. I don't love that. I do love Reed, who's a top 5 player in Warp, super valuable in fantasy football. So I love getting Reed. I love getting the first. Mm-hmm. The quarterback is just such a lame duck option. And I think given this moment of fantasy football, could you have haggled away a Trevor Lawrence, Justin Herbert, probably not a Drake May, but even I just don't like the Carr. I think the Carr is such
I get you
a nothing part of it.
Okay, so I'm looking here
with some flavor.
This is an interesting one because there's a couple pieces of the deal that I think when you have all the context that make it, I understand it more. So I guess I'll say, this is what I'll tell you. He has Lamar and Jaden Daniels does T-Rock right now. So Burrow is a third quarterback, okay? But also, I'm interested here. When I'm looking at the rest of his roster, to me, it's like T-Rock. I think this is part of this move. It's seemingly with getting that first part, maybe to go ahead and solidify himself to the bottom. I also don't know when I look. Maybe T-Rock thinks he can get to the top. There's a team that's 5-1. There's 4-2, 4-2, and then everybody's 3-3. T-Rock is currently 10th, but that's because of Pride Points 4, which I also don't think bode well. He has Jalen Warren and J.K. Dobbins as his running backs, not the greatest, but he has Marv, he has Zay, he has Jaden Reed, he has Penix on the bench. I feel like what T-Rock's doing is getting his second 25 first, kind of giving himself a chance to get away from the pack, lock in a receiver to load into this team. Mm-hmm. If you have Lamar Jackson and Jaden Daniels right now in a Superflex league and you're not starting to separate from the pack, it's not this year. I mean, I'm sorry. It's probably not this year. So I think that's right. At least for me, I think that's the way I look at it. What I will say about the Boogie Manatees pick that he sent away is his team's 4-2. He gets Burrow, but I think he bailed him out. This dude only had Drake May and Tua prior to this. So, dude, I mean, think about that. I don't even know how you get to 4-2 with those quarterbacks. Like,
luck.
Burrow adding to this team is Burrow's a big get for this Boogie Manatee. I think Jaden Reed's a receiver to buy into, but man, this feels like I know you have 3 quarterbacks. I know they're down. I think with what I know about T-Rock and I think what he's still going to be able to do with it, I understand the process. And I'm about liquidating quarterbacks. I've been this year like saying I'm good doing that, but this one feels like maybe it's just the league market you're in. It feels like I would have wanted a little bit more, man.
It does leave a lot to be desired. I will say that.
Yeah. Sorry, T-Rock. I tried to dress it up for you, but we're telling you that you fucking lost, buddy. You know?
Yeah. But if you send over some carnitas in the deal, maybe he'll add a second pick. Maybe he'll add another player.
Dude, I like that. You can always exchange carnitas as currency in these dynasty trades. That's actually a great point. That's a great point. I think it's actually. I will say I think it's a trade that makes sense for both sides. I'm with you. Hopefully, if you can move Carr, I think I'm good with it. I'll tell you, Matty, I hate these. I hate trades, especially when I know I have to be the person now. I have another job. Like, I leave this trade with a job, and the job is not going to be an easy one.
Homework.
I can sell Jaden Reed to somebody. I can sell, this guy's not even on the field. We're watching Spencer Rattler. I have a hard time selling a Derek Carr to any human anyone that's not a bot, basically. The Jetty Council is our last trade of the day. You know what? I'll tell you, Rob, by the way, I'm happy to answer your questions. I love when he comes in, he's always spraying questions, spray and pray type deal. I just say, I got you, though, okay? I had this one queued up. Is Rome Odunze worth holding on to in Dynasty Full PPR? Let's talk about a current trade that went down in a real Dynasty league. Rome Odunze or Deontay, Blake Corum in a second. This is in a one-quarterback league where we're only starting 8, so very shallow. Matty, where are you at with Rome? I'm actually kind of curious. I know, listen, he's got the Bears jersey a lot of times. It's number 2, not number 15. He's a DJ Moore guy like he's wearing right now. Mm-hmm. Where are you at with Rome, though?
I still very much believe in Rome Odunze, the talent. Mm-hmm. It feels as if him getting unlocked this year is a bit of a long shot. I do think, though, that specifically now is not the time to sell. Rookies coming out of the bye is really a thing in the NFL. And what we saw last week was 2 cheap touchdowns of Keenan Allen. And it is of my belief that Rome Odunze will future solidify that role, if that makes any sense. DJ Moore is the number 1 on this team. You can't cut it up any different way. The second they made sure he ate against the Panthers in a revenge game was the moment you should have known that DJ Moore's wide receiver 1 for the Bears and for Caleb Williams. Right now, it's Keenan Allen's wide receiver 2, and that sucks. But Rome, I believe in the talent. I believed in him coming out of Washington. I think that this player, this skill set is something worth buying into. Now, in terms of this trade, this feels pretty fair to me. This feels like as long as both sides are who I think they are, it feels pretty damn fair. I am a bit confused why the Rome side is giving up this, or the one not getting Rome is giving up the second.
Yeah, so
that kind of confuses me.
Okay, I like that. What I will say is about this trade. This was one I put on here because it's a newer patron, and there's a lot of So I had to figure out through the lab where the league was. I know it's in the Jedi Council, and now I didn't put it on the screen. I went and did all the homework just to not have the name, so I can't get it up into Sleeper here. What I'm trying to figure out, though, is I was trying to get the dynamics of it. This one, from what I recall anyway, Matty, since I can't pull it up, is the Deontay side is obviously trying to win, and it makes sense, and you're kind of getting off of Rome. My biggest problem here overall is, okay, we're going 1 QB, not super flex. So Deontay's market should be better in that. But even still, like Deontay to me is not a player. I like him. I want him to be on a lot of my teams as that flex option, maybe wide receiver 3 if I'm built more of the running back position in that league. He's not really a big needle mover as much as I'd love him. And I think he can be a guy that's going to be decent for production, but his dynasty value is just so far and away from Rome. And in a start 8 league, I feel like Blake Corum in a second is really change, man. Like change in the market where everybody wants Bills, So like, yep. I guess my thing is, I want the Rome side here pretty easily, just because in a league like this, I'm more of the mindset that I would rather pocket that Rome even if I want to contend, and I feel like I'm annoyed that he's always out there on the bench and he's not producing. If this is the market says I can get for Rome, I want Rome side here. Because to your point, when Keenan this year, I think with Shane Waldron and the fact of Keenan Allen when he's on the field, I've had in one league I've played Rome every week, and I'm not going to continue to do that because I'm just like the weeks are going to happen. There's a lot of downside for his season this year, but Keenan Allen's also old. Keenan Allen's a guy with a lot of injury history. Even if it's not at this year where we see the full Rome breakout, he will do that. But to your point, he's coming out of the bye. There's a chance that we do see, at least as the year progresses, Rome Odunze start to really solidify himself as the 2 in this offense. And what I believe in the future is going to be a 1A, 1B thing. DJ Moore is not a guy that I'm at all worried about or you should be or even questioning. Rome Odunze is the guy, though. He is extremely talented. His chemistry with Caleb, I think, is only going to get better. And to that point, last and final tiebreaker, Deontay doesn't have he has a home with no QB. I mean, Caleb Williams and this offense in Chicago are starting to click, my guy. This is an offense I don't want to detach myself from at the moment. DeAndre Swift has people's heads spinning. What's going on here? He's got 3 weeks in a row of a top 5. I want to be attached to that offense that's really starting to come around, not the Panthers one.
Yeah. So, do you ever see Wolf of Wall Street?
Of course.
So there's that scene where Jonah Hill's introducing himself to Leonardo DiCaprio about the whole "show me the paycheck, I'll quit my job right now."
Yeah.
And Leo goes on to explain how he just knew he could spend other people's money better. So I'm asking you this, Adam. Do you think this is a situation where the player doesn't want to have Rome on his team, but understands he could sell that? He could get a lot more for Rome. So let me just buy in at this price, and then he'll flip them. Because to me, if you're looking to win now and you're going to use Rome Odunze to do that, you got to jump into the AJ Brown type aisles, if you know what I'm saying. I think you should be shooting for a top 10 wide receiver warp type player if you're selling Rome. Do you think that this guy getting Rome is just like, the market's low, let me take him because I know how to spend that money better?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a case of that. Absolutely. I love that line using it. And I think it's also, selling, I think more so than anything from the same movie. John, if you can give me 60 seconds of your day today, you sold him the pink slips, my guy. You sold him the pink slips for that Rome Odunze for all that cash coming back. Dude, Matty, this is crazy because Deontay Johnson's value to a team is for him to continue to get alpha level targets. And I think the biggest thing, more so than anything, that's going to separate him from what he always has been, his upside has always been, is touchdowns. I think we've seen that it can come, but I'm also with Andy Dalton, Red Rifle at the helm. I'm not sure that he's got a bunch of touchdown upside. And what we all definitely know is in a hurry, his dynasty value can evaporate. Rome Odunze to me is a guy that you're just, right now you're preying on a manager that just is panicked. He's panicked on Rome, and I get it. I think a lot of people will continue to panic until he produces more consistently, which might not come for a while. This is too easy, though, because Rome Odunze, at least in the offseason, will move for – if you don't have to win right now, at least in the offseason, I can move Rome for significant multiple times of Deontay Johnson, Blake Corum in a second.
Yeah.
I think the person on that side has going to have to see Kyron Williams get hurt and Blake Corum become a lineup staple for your team to really make this feel like I got anything near what Rome is. I think he got nickeled and dimed pretty bad. So I hope so that this new patron, I hope that you got the Rome side. I also hope that next time you listen, don't block out the names. Make it harder for us to go see the stuff. We have the tools. I couldn't take the time to do so right now. But if you want to show us your flexes, your Wout trades, your T-Rock trades, where you had a lot of love for Burrow, you had to move him, whatever it is, patreon.com/South Harmon. $5 gets you into the door. Completed trades channel. Get you access to so much. Get you access to Matty. Get you access to Mike, myself. The whole South Harmon crew. Place to be, buddy. Matty, appreciate you hopping on, buddy. What'd you think of the trades today, man? How'd you feel on the trade show?
I feel like, whew, that was fun. I mean, you scared me. You literally scared me out of my seat. I didn't think we were going to do a show.
Dude, but I still can't believe it. It's fun. I still can't believe that happened right as the thing was ending. That's crazy. I've seen some creepy stuff, but that was a little freaky.
Hey, you want to get creepy? That was creepy.
Yeah, and we will do that this week. Make sure, for the record, also, you're coming back checking this out every week on Saturdays. We do the Dynasty Trade Show. We have so much other stuff that we do. Starting tomorrow, Sundays is a huge day. Cover the whole day. We got Matty on in the morning. We got the start sit with Eric heading that. We got Matty and Fizzle and so many other guys on doing that. T-Rock, speaking of your trade, he's doing start sits. We also have the recap show every single week on Sundays. We give you immediate live breakdowns, Mike and I opinion, right or wrong, of what went down and occurred on Sundays. This week, Fizzle Dallas will be there with me, and next week, we're going to get Mike fresh off vacation to scare the shit out of him and you. Make sure you're tapped into that. That's October 27th. Other than that, I think that's all we got, buddy. Anything else you wanted to plug or say? Listen, the season's plugging along, and so are you. A lot of stuff to check out on South Harmon, man.
Patreon.com/South Harmon. Get in the Discord, start talking fantasy football with the best out, and get the warp tool. Stop messing around. You want to start making those Roma Dunze type trades. You want to start absolutely shitting on your league mates. SouthHarmonFF.com. Get the warp tool. I cannot stress it enough.
That's a great plug. Pool, and honestly, it's funny because I'm at the point now, any type of if I get a trade, Dynasty or redraft, redraft's so much harder to make trades, but if I don't tell you to go fuck yourself right away, that means it's close. And the first thing I'm doing, every and any time, I check the warp tool. That's my tiebreaker. I need to see, okay, I'm looking at receiver per trade, right? If I'm looking at this Rome trade, maybe if I was to make something like that, I would have to know like wide receiver scoring in this league is terrible. That's the way I'm going to make a trade that doesn't look right on the surface. So if it's close in market, the first thing I do is go to the warp tool. I'm telling you, my life is a reflection of warp.life. It can change your life. Make sure you go check that out. Other than that, man, Matty, appreciate you being on the show. We'll see you back here, same time, same place for the Dynasty Trade Show. Check out college football, and you better get to ready because, dude, I'm telling you, these picks, 25, they're going to start looking up. It's a bad class, but they're going to start looking up because there's a lot of players that are performing in college we like. Love y'all. Peace.
Peace.